Hello and welcome. I am Josh Widdicombe. For today, I'm the curator of a place of incredible artefacts and exhibitions, a place that stores the greatest thing on earth. This is my archive of pop culture. Welcome back to part 2 of the incredible story of the making of Apocalypse Now. In this episode, we've got casting directors, drink and drugs problems on set, and a civil war that repeatedly sends the helicopters AWOL while trying to finish the film. Just when you thought it couldn't get any madder.
Nothing is so terrible as a pretentious movie. I mean, a movie that aspires for something really terrific and doesn't pull it off is shit, it's scum. And everyone will walk on it as such. And that's what poor filmmakers, in a way, that's their greatest horror, is to be pretentious. So here you are, on one hand, it's trying to aspire to really do something. On the other hand, you're not allowed to be pretentious. And finally you say, fuck it. I don't care if I'm pretentious or not pretentious, or if I've done it or I haven't done it. All I know is that I am going to see this movie. And that for me, it has to have some answers. And by answers, I don't mean just a punchline. Answers on about 47 different levels.
Right, Tom, welcome to the jungle. Here we are. Eleanor Coppola, you should watch the documentary on this that she made. So she films and she keeps a diary of the whole thing.
This is Francis Ford Coppola's wife.
His wife. So she writes at one point, I think that Francis is truly a visionary, but part of me is filled with anxiety. I feel as though a certain discrimination is missing. That fine discrimination that draws the line between what is visionary and what is madness. I am terrified.
Okay.
So that gives you a feel for what we're heading towards.
Yeah.
So the Philippines is chosen as a location for shooting due to its resemblance to the Vietnamese landscape. I'm presuming, I don't know at this point, whether Marcos and his wife, Imelda Marcos, are in charge. I presume they must have been there for years.
All I know about her is she had 1 billion shoes, didn't she?
Yeah, she had loads and loads of shoes. There's a great documentary on her, actually. Not a good egg.
No. But great shoe collection. So,
great shoe collection, exactly.
So it's where it's all about balance, isn't it, really? I suppose.
Exactly. It's like Anna Wintour.
Exactly, yeah. She was lovely from the foot down. Yeah.
Exactly. George Lucas says it's one thing to go over there for 3 weeks with like 5 people and sort of scrounge a lot of footage using the Philippine army. But if you go over there as a big Hollywood production, they're going to kill you. So that's his view on it.
Wow. Okay.
Coppola goes over there with a big Hollywood production.
Perfect.
So they do a deal with the Philippine government to use the Philippine government's military equipment.
Oh, wow. Don't they need that for fighting?
Exactly. So most importantly, a fleet of helicopters for several key action sequences of the film. But the Philippine government is at that point trying to suppress communist rebel forces in the south of the country.
This is incredible.
So they often have to take the helicopters back with very short notice to use them at war.
With Marlon Brando still in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
He's being flown over actual warfare. That's amazing. I mean, you can see how that might happen.
It's not ideal for filming schedule, though, is it?
No.
And then when they return the helicopters, they've been painted in the colours of the Philippine Army again, and they have to be repainted as US Army helicopters.
To be fair to the Philippine Army, I think probably their defensive manoeuvres have to take precedent.
Yes. Although do you need to repaint? If you're going, we've got to take these helicopters now because it's really desperate that we use them, you're like, well, don't bother with a repaint job.
But I don't think they're just doing it so they look great. I imagine that's some kind of signifier of what is on what side, isn't it? That must be what it is. So it can be recognisably a Philippine helicopter.
I suppose it's not ideal. In terms of the news, American painted helicopters coming over and joining the war isn't going to look great.
Optics not ideal, yeah.
Optics not ideal.
Yeah.
But then you're waiting for paint to dry to launch an offensive.
Yeah, which is famously boring.
Because if you start the propellers with wet paint, it's just going to like a kind of...
Well, there's an argument, if we're going to really deep dive into this, there's an argument the propellers would dry the paint.
Oh, yeah, there's an argument they'd dry it. I was thinking they'd create a kind of weird effect. Do you know what I mean? Like if you were to spin paint.
I'm genuinely intrigued. If any listeners know if you painted a helicopter and then turned on the propellers, would that speed up the drying process?
Yeah.
Or make it worse? Do let us know. I do genuinely want to know.
I suppose it's hot as well. If it's hot, the paint's going to dry quicker.
Yeah.
Maybe you can just get it done quite quickly.
Also mid-flight, maybe. Mid-flight it would dry as well. I don't know. So many questions.
Yeah, so many questions.
If you have the answer, do email
Also, it doesn't matter if it's dried, really.
That is a good point as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Once you're in the
No
heat
one's going to
of
lean
battle.
on your helicopter.
Steve, you've been shot. No, I haven't. I just leant on the helicopter.
Yeah. A little, like, put a piece of A4 masking taped on saying wet paint, do not touch, on the side of the helicopter. You're bombing some communist insurgents.
That's incredible. It's incredible that the Philippine army were even willing to lend their stuff to a movie set. Like, if Britain was at war,
Yeah.
and we found out that our military were lending out our battleships and stuff like that for a remake of Das Boot or whatever,
Yeah.
I think people wouldn't be delighted about it. They'd be saying,
No,
no,
it wouldn't be ideal,
We
yeah.
need to be focusing our...
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're not at war. They're just keeping down insurgents, I suppose.
Okay, fine. Yeah, where do you draw the line, Josh?
Well, exactly. Yeah, I don't know enough about that kind of thing. There's more helicopter problems as well. So the assistant director, Douglas Claiborne, says, you never knew when you were going to lose a helicopter or 4 or 5. So it's hard to plan a day's shooting when you're unsure how many helicopters you're going to have. It's understandable. There's another helicopter problem when a helicopter cuts the top off a tree and sends coconuts raining down on the crew below who have to scatter to safety.
That feels like something that would happen in a cartoon.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
A helicopter chopping off the top of a tree and coconuts flying around.
Yeah,
Maybe
it
hitting
does.
People. It doesn't feel like something that should happen in real life.
No, but maybe if it hit a coconut direct, it would split it. Do you know what? Another helicopter catches fire, and the pilot says, it burned the socks off the guy in the back seat. Flame came between my legs, blinded me. I jumped out and ran up the side and put water on my eyes to try to be able to see. It was pretty scary.
And then I was hit on the head with a coconut. I couldn't believe it. Of all the things. You think you're having a bad day.
The very last thing I needed. Coppola says, I was responsible for that. It was supposed to burst into flames during the scene. I made the charge a little too strong.
Wow. I've always been scared by helicopters. I've never been on one.
Well, this chat's not helping.
No, it's not. But the idea of going on one.
Exactly. Yeah, I know what you mean. But I imagine the stats are fine. But you just, I don't know.
Also, by the way, Josh, it's not been much of an ongoing issue in my life.
No, of course.
I'm not inundated with offers to go on helicopters.
Of course. Yeah.
So it's fine. I struggle by. I'm more of a sort of take the bus guy.
Exactly, yeah. And you're not scared of them, are you?
Exactly.
The Philippines Army also keeps sending different pilots each day for the chopper squadron, which means that hugely complicated special effects sequences have to be re-rehearsed because they've just got different pilots each day. And so they find a workaround, which is American co-pilots next to the Philippine pilots who instruct them what to do and when. So they're basically, the Philippine pilots are often asked to do kind of complex maneuvers they don't understand or can't execute. And the production team would basically sometimes see like...
That can't be happening. That's
3 or so helicopters disappearing into a cloud of smoke and just hoping they don't collide.
No.
But they don't, so it's fine.
This is insane.
Yeah.
I've had the phrase Francis Ford Coppola in my head for the last 5 minutes. I'm not really sure what to do with it.
It's worth having.
But I thought I'd say it anyway, just so you're aware that it's in the mix.
It's in the mix. So there's another time when, sometimes after takes, the helicopters just turn around and head over onto the hills in the distance, and the pilots just go home rather than come back for another take.
It's quite hard to stop a helicopter from going home, I suppose, isn't it? They can just claim they can't hear you.
Yeah, exactly. There's footage of this where Coppola's just heard to say, there's got to be a better way to do this.
That's such a funny image.
Yeah.
Of just the helicopters going home again. They're going home again.
They're going home again.
They've got to stop flying home. They don't wait for me to say cut. They just fly home. And he's completely unable to stop them.
Untenable. Also, the fumes from the helicopter's exhaust gives the crew headaches, and the heat from the fake napalm blasts is so powerful they can be felt 1.5 miles away.
Wow. I've seen those. Obviously, that is the famous sort of kind of image from Apocalypse Now, isn't it? Those huge explosions.
Yeah.
Fascinated how they did that because they're just massive. They're ginormous.
Huge. So, shooting carries on, though. While they're shooting, Coppola is writing new scenes and reshaping the film as they go along, which is never a brilliant idea. And
all the scenes end with, and then the helicopters went home.
Yeah, exactly.
Just so he's got that option. Yeah.
Yeah. We've got that in the bag.
Yeah, exactly. Marlon, you just need to say, oh, look, the helicopters are going home. So just say that at the end of every scene. So it will be fine.
So a further problem with filming on location is they can't view the rushes because they've got to go to Rome for processing. and then they have to be returned to the makeshift viewing room. So they're on a 10-day delay of viewing the rushes.
Feels there should be a better system than that, doesn't it?
It's the technology of the time, isn't it?
I suppose so. Is that it has to be put through some kind of system and then returned?
Yeah, I suppose it has to be.
Fine, yeah.
Yeah. So after 10 days, he views the first rushes and he realised that Harvey Keitel has been badly miscast in the lead role.
Oh, wow.
And so they scrap all of it and they get rid of Harvey Keitel.
No!
Yeah, which they could have done instantly if they hadn't had to wait 10 days for the rushes.
That's incredible. Wow. So is that just 10 days of completely unusable footage then, in that case?
Yeah, because they've got the wrong lead.
Yeah, that's
which
amazing.
is crucial, I'd say.
Yeah. But I mean, they may have filmed other
suppose there
scenes
might be
that were-
other stuff. Yeah, there may be other
Anything
incidental stuff.
containing this crucial character is not usable.
Yeah,
Wow.
so he needs a new lead. So he goes to meet Martin Sheen at LAX airport. Coppola shaves off his beard to make him look like a tidy, in-control filmmaker, and Sheen accepts the role. I wonder whether Sheen, at points, will regret that decision, although it's worked out in the long run. So early in filming with Sheen, Coppola's worried about Sheen's performances.
Yeah.
He worries he's coming across as bland. And he claims that Coppola gets these worries from a dream that he's had about where a Green Beret has told him that Willard, the character, isn't textured enough.
Right. Okay.
So he says in the dream that he, Coppola, the Green Beret and Sheen were all in a cramped hotel room together. The Green Beret advises him to get Willard an intimate moment admiring his own beauty, telling him that these guys are all vain. So he does this, inspired by the dream.
Wow.
He shoots a scene with Willard admiring himself in the mirror in a cramped hotel room.
Okay.
And in the story, he's just had his divorce finalised and he's having a breakdown, Willard. So this scene is crucial to the film. Sheen, ideal, has been drinking all day before this scene.
Perfect. Yeah.
And basically, I don't know if you've seen the scene, but it's really dark.
Can I just check? You've been drinking all day? You have? Great. Ideal. Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, that's
exactly
ideal,
right.
yeah. Because I haven't got enough fucking problems. But during the scene, Sheen basically punches a mirror to simulate Willard and actually cuts his hand.
Oh, yes, I've seen that scene. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's waiting for Coppola. You've seen all the scenes, you just haven't seen them in order. Everyone's waiting for Coppola to cut, but he lets it run on for a little longer while Sheen's looking at the blood, then shouts, cut, but Sheen asks to carry on with the scene, finally ends up smearing the blood across his face and his chest, and this is like this big moment.
Yeah. So he has actually cut himself on film, genuinely.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a
This is
dark
so dramatic,
scene. I mean,
isn't it?
he's hammered, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's worth noting that Sheen's children have been brought with him to this set. His children, Charlie Sheen, obviously, and Charlie Sheen's brother, Emilio Estevez, who both go on to be actors.
Mm-hmm.
They spend a combined total of 8 to 9 months living on and off this set in the Philippines.
Wow.
So there's some mad stories from them. In his memoir, Charlie Sheen talks about the horror of the film's climax, where basically people sacrifice a real water buffalo with a machete, and Charlie Sheen, as a 10-year-old, is just watching that. He says he can never unsee it, and he wished he was still asleep at this point.
Yeah, I get that.
So him and his brother are doing like typical childhood activities like fishing and water skiing, but then they'll just kind of glide past these multi-million-dollar film sets with fake body parts hanging from palm trees and stuff like that.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Emilio Estevez, who's a bit older than Charlie Sheen, strikes up a friendship with Lawrence Fishburne, because obviously Lawrence Fishburne's only 14. And a few days out after meeting, they take a boat out onto the local river, get too close to shore. Emilio jumps out to push it away, and he finds he's in quicksand and he starts getting sucked under the water.
Wow. The greatest fear of any child, quicksand.
It really is. It was a big fear for me.
Yeah, hugely. Yeah.
Lawrence Fishburne saves him, drags him back on board. And from that, they've got a lifelong bond, these two actors. Incredibly, Martin Sheen doesn't find out about this until decades later, when Emilio Estevez writes about it in a joint family memoir.
You know, you feel your dad's going through a tough time and you don't mention to him that you got stuck in quicksand and really sucked under.
Well, this is the kind of tough time his dad's going through, Martin Sheen, filming this. They're driving back from set, and Martin Sheen, who's pissed again, is abruptly announced he's going to use the toilet. As soon as the car pulls to the side of the road, Martin Sheen strips naked, bolts into the jungle and just keeps running.
Because he was shy? Wanted to get really far in so nobody could see him doing his business? That's amazing.
So Emilio and his mother, Janet, have to basically trek into the jungle and drag their unhinged
the story
naked
of Apocalypse
dad.
Now.
Yeah, and drag their dad back to safety.
Wow.
So it's wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
Emilio Estevez actually wants to be in the film, so he gets to be an extra for this Oolong Bridge sequence. He has to spend 3 weeks in combat training, learning to operate heavy firearms, and he's assigned to man an M60 machine gun, and the scene is considered too long, and the entire performance is cut from theatrical release as well.
Oh my goodness me. I think there's a point as well, like, is this the right place to have my family? Or is it best that they just go back home? I mean, I'm not sure if this is good for them or me.
No, I know.
It does feel odd to be involved, but I think maybe we just take this as a difficult 6 months and they live their life back home or speak on the phone. I don't think
it does feel like that, doesn't it?
Rather than my 10-year-old seeing a water buffalo being hacked to death before tea. I think it's not working. We've all tried. It's okay.
Yeah. So things aren't going well at the start, and then typhoon season is 3 months away, but for some reason, the worst typhoon in 40 years to hit the Philippines hits the Philippines.
Okay, of course it does.
Sets and equipment are washed away or buried in mud, and basically the production has to be shut down for 6 weeks, allowing time for the locations to be recovered and rebuilt. On returning to the USA for this period, Martin Sheen says, "I don't know if I'm going to live through this. These fuckers are crazy. All these helicopters and really blowing things up. It was freaky." At the airport, he kept saying goodbye to everyone.
Really?
Yeah.
So he had a genuine sense this could be the last thing he does. Wow.
Yeah, and it almost is. We'll come to that. But Coppola, at this point, his main worry is the script, how he's going to end the script. So
he's blown away.
Yeah.
All 1,000 pages are just floating around in the air, stuck to trees and stuff. Okay.
So Eleanor writes in her diary, Francis said he had a dream about how to finish the script, but now that he is awake, it wasn't really any good.
Is this Francis again?
Yeah.
He's real one for having these prescient dreams, isn't he?
Well, he's an artist, Tom.
Yeah.
Did I have a dream about this podcast this morning?
No.
No. We talked about all the fears plaguing him, and mostly they seemed related to the fact that the script isn't finished. He's been reading, researching, talking, thinking, writing and wrestling with it every day for almost a year now. Mm-hmm. I suggested he just dictate the whole thing right now, complete off the top of his head. He's in there now with a tape recorder. He started at the beginning and is going straight through. God, I hope.
Wow. The dreams I have, the repeat dreams I have, is that I'm at Wembley watching England and I'm picked out from the crowd to play.
Do you have that dream?
I do. And for some reason, I only have work shoes. Like sensible
Yeah.
shoes that you'd wear to an interview when you're in sixth form. Those sort of shoes. That's for some reason I have that dream. Not a lie, I say.
Wow.
3 times a year, 4 times a year. And I have to come down and I look down on my feet and they're like flat soled leather.
What does that represent?
Shoes.
What does that represent?
Yeah. And I never find out how I do either. I just sort of come down and I see the shoes and that's like...
Well, not well, because you wouldn't do well even if you had football boots. The shoes is neither here nor there.
Well, there's a chance they'd look at my work shoes and say, we don't have to worry about him. Let's not bother marking him.
That's the sign he's a genius. That would be like Marlon Brando.
The space. Exactly, yeah.
So, due to the delays and the typhoon, he needs an extra $3 million to complete the film. So Coppola goes to United Artists, agrees the deal where they'd loan him the money, and if the film fails to turn the profit, he will be personally liable for the repayment.
That is a risk, isn't it? Wow.
And he puts his estate up as collateral against the loan. Mm-hmm. So in June, they return to the Philippines to resume production. And the first thing on arriving back is the French plantation set, which is the key scene for the film. This is due to a key scene where basically towards the end, when they're about to encounter a house owned by a French family who are refusing to leave their home, still seem to be living in the 1950s. However, the art department go hugely over budget on the set. And basically, after days of shooting, they abandon the scene. And Coppola says, everyone forget that we even shot it. It no longer does it exist. So that's gone. That's the first thing they do upon returning.
But why? Because they spent too much.
It just doesn't work. No, it just doesn't work as a scene.
A lot of this, isn't there? It's rare to hear about these movies where they just film loads and just get rid of whole chunks like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, you get small sections, but it feels like there's loads of massive set pieces, and he's just going, nah, it's not working.
Well, yeah, another major sequence is the Oolong Bridge sequence. So during the bridge sequence, things get out of hand. Coppola, who first took up cigar smoking, he's now shifted on to marijuana because he says it helps dull the critical voices in his head on set. And so the rest of the cast is indulging in that. Also, cocaine and alcohol readily available to those who want it during filming. Yeah.
I think Francis Ford Coppola's got to get a hold on that.
It doesn't feel ideal, does it?
You're already heading for double the length of filming you were hoping for, and now you're bringing drugs into it.
I know.
I don't think that's the answer, surely.
Some days it's so hot that the cocaine melts as well. There's a quote where they say there were people who went out over the edge, started drinking, basically had to be shipped back. They couldn't function. It's
incredible.
Absolute carnage.
Yeah.
So during the Dulong Bridge filming, actor Sam Bottoms is so high on speed, he thinks that he's accidentally shot Martin Sheen because he's so off his face.
Wow.
So he says, Sam Bottoms, that the only way he could deal with the situation was to pretend it was all a dream. So he smoked loads of weed, drank too much, twice dropped acid on camera.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's sort of a coping mechanism on some level.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's all so horrific.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
It's mad, isn't it? He says the team were visiting sex workers whenever they had the chance. He says, and if the rains would come, everybody would run off to the massage parlours. It was pretty insane. There was a lot of gonorrhea going around too, as I remember. It's fucking insane.
This is hell. Absolute hell.
Yeah.
Wow, what a situation.
Or a great laugh.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, depends on your...
Depends what you're into.
Your lifestyle, I suppose. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Some people might be going, this is the best film I've ever filmed on.
But you can see where those parallels between... You started episode 1 with this quote from Francis Ford Coppola about the parallels between the Vietnam War and the way they're filming. So many things are true of Vietnam War itself.
And then I've got good news. This is when Marlon Brando is due to arrive.
Okay, great.
So as if things aren't going swimmingly enough, Marlon Brando is now due to arrive in the Philippines. But they don't have an ending yet for the film because they haven't worked it out. They haven't worked out who they want his character of Kurtz to be yet. And so Brando arrives. Brando has promised Coppola by the time he arrives on set, he will have lost weight to be in line with a man who's been living feral in the jungle for a significant period of time.
If I was a betting man, I'd suggest he hasn't done that.
Well, he's actually put on weight since they last saw him.
There you are. So where's my money?
So Coppola suggests leaning into the weight as a plot and costume point, but Brando says he doesn't want to appear fat.
Okay.
Which you've got to say is your own fault there.
Yeah. You know this is being filmed, Marlon.
So basically what they do is Coppola and Brando lock themselves away to discuss the whole script. Further delays, this is. The plot, the story, the character of Kurtz, despite the fact that 2/3 of the film has already been shot, they just now go to lock themselves away to discuss who this character is.
This is remarkable, isn't it? Yeah.
It's not ideal, is it? And they'd often be ready to shoot in the morning, and then they'd send the crew to lunch as Brando wasn't ready and Coppola still hadn't decided what he wanted from Kurtz. Those delays were costing Coppola $80,000 a day.
That must have been so intense.
Yeah.
You know, breaking characters down and working out their motivation, all this sort of stuff, can be the hardest stuff you do, I think, when you're writing.
Yeah.
It's like there's sort of maths to it, and it's tough, really, to break that sort of stuff sometimes. It's not like the fun of dialogue, which often can be much more of a freeing experience. But that, plus the fact that it's Marlon Brando...
Yeah.
And you're away from home and it's already way over budget and everyone's high on drugs and you, the director, also developed a bit of a drug issue.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine how intense that must have been.
So Eleanor Coppola writes at this point, I'm sitting on a rock on the set. It feels like a rock. It looks like a temple fragment, but I know it's been made by the art department. The crew has been waiting since 8 a.m. to shoot. It is almost 3 in the afternoon now. Francis and Marlon have been down in the houseboat working on his death scene today and most of yesterday. The assistant director is saying if they don't start shooting in the next 30 minutes, it will be too late to get the shot today. $80,000 down the drain.
Wow. But $80,000, I suppose by that point, when it's just you're hemorrhaging so much, the cost of a day must almost feel
nothing
insignificant. And that's the danger of it, I suppose.
Because we've got to get it right.
Exactly. And then if it is those little drips, I mean, I say 80,000, but, you know, in the scheme of a Hollywood movie, 80,000, I suppose, on its own as a single day thing isn't the end of the world. You can see how that can just keep dripping over and over and over and over. Before you know it, you're another 2 million down.
Oh, my God. And so...
This is so stressful.
Yeah. So Brando's on the verge of quitting. The cinematographer tempts Brando and Coppola onto set saying he's created some strange light and smoke. So they all go onto the set and they start improvising. And so Coppola's taking cue cards onto set, but basically Brando improvises all the time, at times performing for as long as 45 minutes, just totally improvising.
Wow.
Stuns Coppola and the crew.
Wow.
And like during one soliloquy to Willard, Martin Sheen's character, Brando reaches into the dark and grabs a buzzing fly without breaking a thought.
No.
And when they finally call cut on the speech, he opens his hand to reveal the fly is in there.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Please tell me that the open palm and fly was filmed as well.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because that's a real missed opportunity if not. That's amazing. It's like Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, same thing happens in The Karate Kid, doesn't it? So as well as having Brando deal with, Coppola has decided to cast Dennis Hopper, as if things aren't bad enough, as a photojournalist working in Kurtz's compound.
Yeah.
So Hopper, famously, I'd say more unhinged than...
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's one of the names when you think about sort of reckless.
Yeah. So when David Lynch is casting Blue Velvet, the character Frank Booth, who's a psychosexual woman beater, Dennis Hopper says, you've got to cast me. I am Frank Booth.
Okay. Ideal.
Surely
at that point you're saying, okay, we're going to look elsewhere.
Well, let me tell you some more Dennis Hopper stories to get you a feel for who Dennis Hopper is. So in the 1958 Western From Hell to Texas, they've got a director called Harry Hathaway who's like really strict, and he despises Dennis Hopper because he's an improvisational kind of modern actor, Marlon Brando style, right? And he demands that Dennis Hopper reads a simple 10-line scene exactly as written with specific movements. And Hopper refuses, forcing retake after retake. They basically eventually end up in a standoff.
Really?
And Hathaway points at the stack of film cans and threatens to keep the crew there for months until Hopper agrees.
Wow. Amazing.
Hopper finally relents on take 80. 80.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Basically, that's in the 50s. After that, they basically blacklist him. He's blacklisted in Hollywood. But then he does Easy Rider.
Amazing movie.
Which is basically his film. In the pre-production of Easy Rider, Rip Torn is initially cast, the character that Jack Nicholson plays. The casting is changed because of a confrontation between Dennis Hopper and Rip Torn.
Right.
In 1994, Hopper goes on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno and says that Torn had pulled a steak knife on him during an argument, and that's why he was recast.
Wow.
But Rip Torn sues Hopper over this for defamation and says it was actually Hopper who pulled a knife on him, forcing him to disarm the director.
Right.
And the court rules in Torn's favour, and Dennis Hopper has to pay $1 million in damages. He is quite wild, Dennis Hopper. In 1980, he arrives at Rice University in Houston to film his movie Out of the Blue, and he decides to cap off the event with an art happening, which is a death-defying stunt known as the Russian Dynamite Death Chair.
Okay.
So this is banned on campus by the university due to safety issues. So he hires a load of school buses to transport the entire audience to a local stock car racetrack outside of the city limits afterwards.
No.
And then he sits in a chair.
This is when he's a student. This is him wrapping up his note. Oh.
No. This is 1980. So this is when he's a director bringing...
Okay.
He sits surrounded by real sticks of dynamite.
Okay.
He sits on a chair in the middle. And there's this precise quirk of physics that if they all detonate at the same time, facing outward, they'll briefly create a vacuum in the exact centre where he sat. So... there's a massive explosion.
And then what happens to him?
He's in the centre on the chair, so he'll be fine.
Oh, he's going to be safe, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's like a physics trick.
Okay, got you. Yeah.
It's quite a high-stakes physics trick.
Okay. I assumed I thought you meant something like the chair then hovered for 5 seconds or something like that.
Oh, no.
He just keeps him safe.
He's in a huge explosion and then he walks out.
Okay, got you.
And he does it, and that does happen. He walks out, the smoke completely unharmed.
Wow.
Covered in soot. But that's the kind of guy he is. That's how he ends a university screening.
But you do that at every last leg wrap party at the end of every series,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
But it's less and less dynamite each time because TV budgets have been squeezed.
Exactly. So it's less impressive, and also the physics is more worrying.
Exactly. But, you got to stick with it. When you've said you're going to do something, you've got to stick with it. That's amazing. So he clearly has this sort of wild child.
He's alcoholic. He's a drug addict. In 1983, this is when he does get clean and sober from 1983.
Yeah.
So he's filming a film called Cine Locuro, right, in Mexico, and he suffers from drug-induced hallucinations, and he becomes convinced that the Third World War has started and that he is being targeted himself, which isn't ideal.
No.
So flees the movie set, disappears into the desert, and authorities later find him walking stark naked along a rural highway.
Francis Ford Coppola really likes employing actors who love running into the wilderness naked.
Exactly.
That seems to be his thing, either because they need the toilet.
Yeah.
Or,
but they catch him because he's attempting to board a commercial airliner by walking directly onto the tarmac naked.
With 32 sticks of dynamite.
Yeah. At this point...
Is he naked at this point, did you say?
I think so, yeah. Brilliant. I'm not sure. At this point, his friends step in and they say, you might need to go to rehab here, mate.
It feels like intervention territory.
This feels like your rock bottom.
Yeah.
We can see your rock bottom.
Yeah. see your rock and your bottom.
So he goes to rehab. They put him in a padded cell in rehab. That to give you an idea what state he's in.
Because nothing says rehabilitation like a padded cell, does it?
No, exactly.
Nothing goes more hand in hand with the word rehabilitation.
Yeah. He fully embraces Alcoholics Anonymous, cuts out alcohol, drugs, even caffeine. He says sobriety sold his life. He never has another drink again in the rest of his life.
Wow.
Incredible.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Restores his bankability. Within 3 years of being clean, he does Blue Velvet, Hoosiers, Oscar-nominated performances in both those. Speed, he's in Speed.
Amazing.
He's in Waterworld, sadly, although people say that's actually better than his reputation. Sober for the rest of his life for 27 years until he dies in 2010. One of the quirks of his later life, he becomes a Republican voter, which you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, it doesn't feel in keeping. I think his character in Speed is one of the all-time great.
It's a great
characters.
One. Yeah,
it's a fantastic movie. Speed.
It's brilliant,
and it's so exciting. But his performance is just incredible. It's just so sinister.
Yeah,
yeah. What a great movie that is.
He describes himself in the 60s as probably being as left as you could get without being a communist. But by the 80s, he's voting for Reagan. He votes for both George Bushes. His fifth wife. There's a sentence.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's a very Hollywood sentence, to be fair, isn't it?
Yeah.
So many, really, to be honest, leading men.
Yeah.
When you click on their personal life order, happens to be on the Wikipedia, it's like seven spouses. Yeah.
So Victoria Duffy, she's a staunch Democrat, and she raises over $1 million for John Kerry in 2004, his failed bid to be Democrat president. She's like doing fundraisers at her house, and Hopper says that he was the silent majority during political fundraisers at his own home. And he's in a conservative film called An American Carol, an anti-liberal satire with other famous Hollywood conservatives, John Voight and Kelsey Grammer, who's a classic Hollywood Republican.
That checks out.
He ends up voting for Barack Obama as well. But it's quite funny that he does such an about turn from being this kind of wild hippie to being one of the few Hollywood Republicans.
Well, they say people become more conservative as they get older, don't they? That's the thing. That's what they.
Well, exactly. Yeah. So on the day Marlon Brando's due to arrive, Dennis Hopper decides his only way to prepare for the arrival of Marlon Brando, Kurtz, is full immersion into the role.
Right.
So he changes into a full captain's uniform, musters up an army who are the Ifugao tribe who are there filming with them, and he drills them in war games. And when then Marlon Brando finally arrives, he musters the troops to greet the colonel. At which point, things get weirder and weirder, according to Hopper. The soldiers' faces, camouflage starts to melt, and some of them turn into parrots and some of them turn into snakes. And eventually, the soldiers demonstrate their jiu-jitsu techniques to Kurtz. He says it was the most amazing thing I've ever experienced in my life. But of course, it all happens inside his own head because he's tripping.
Unbelievably high, yeah.
Yeah, so that's how he prepares for the arrival of Marlon Brando. So now you've got Dennis Hopper on set, you've got Marlon Brando on set, and everything's ready.
Cocaine, alcohol, heat, the jungle.
You've got Martin Sheen, and I'm going to tell you now, at the start of the final episode, Martin Sheen has a heart attack and almost dies.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So
when I say no, actually, when I look at the context, the action should be, yes, that feels about right.
That does feel about right.
Wow.
So we'll be covering that in the final episode, and the filming will finish. And incredibly, despite all of this, victory will be claimed from the jaws of defeat by Francis Ford Coppola.
I mean, I suppose if he is filming everything and for forever, and he has got a good edit, he's still got money for an edit, it gives you a fighting chance, doesn't it? Your worst chance if you've got no footage and barely any time for the edit. If you actually have reams and reams of film, then who knows? You could probably pull something out, as he clearly does.
As Michael will tell you about this podcast, the edit can save you. The edit can always save you. If you want to hear about Sheen's heart attack, etc., then you can join the fan club now, and the episode is there waiting for you, along with loads of great bonus episodes. Just click the link in the show notes. Otherwise, we'll see you afterwards in a few days for that final part of the story. Goodbye.
Very excited. Bye-bye.
Last night, Francis watched the footage from the first week shooting. They were the scenes with Harvey Keitel, who plays Willard. Afterward, he sat down on the couch with the editors and said, "Well, what do you think?" I went upstairs to say goodnight to the children, and when I came down 15 minutes later, Francis had made the decision to replace his leading man.
You understand?
2 days ago, Francis shaved off his beard and flew to Los Angeles. He met with Martin Sheen at the airport. Marty agreed to take the role of Willard.
I had some personal concerns about my own physical condition. I was 36 at the time, and I felt old and out of shape, and I was smoking 3 packs a day. Not a healthy guy. I wondered if I'd be able to keep up a strenuous schedule. At the time I hired on, remember, it was only a 16-week shoot, which didn't prove to be the case. But who knew that at the time, you know?